Hey, I just want to get something out of the way quickly before the video really starts. Let me just start by saying this is not a review. This is not a retrospective of any kind. It's just going to be me talking for the next 10 to 15 minutes with full rose-tinted glasses about why Dino Crisis 2 is one of my favourite games of all time. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoy the video. I fucking love this game. Where do I even begin with this amazing game? Do I talk about the story and the characters, the OST, the gameplay, extra game modes? Let's start with briefly talking about the story and the characters because I won't get into it too much, just in case anyone who watches this wants to play the game themselves. Then we'll get into the good stuff, the gameplay. After an incident involving Third Energy, in 2010 the US military's TRAT unit are sent to investigate the disappearance of Edward City and its surrounding area, find 1,300 survivors, and collect any data relating to Third Energy research. Our main characters include Dylan, leader of the TRAT team. Returning from Dino Crisis 1 is Regina, who has been brought along as an advisor because of her past experiences with similar events. We also have a character who does not have enough screen time, Dylan's fellow TRAT member David. And FYI, this guy is a fucking Chad. Just look at those arms and that hat, bro. After the TRAT team get annihilated by dinos, Dylan, Regina, and David are our only survivors. It's your basic time travel survival story with dinosaurs, with some nice twists thrown in later into the game. And for what it is, I find it rather enjoyable, and surprisingly, it has some feels moments too. And might I say, compared to Capcom's other PS1 titles, this game has some great voice acting.
There's more than 1,000 survivors. Let's get moving. Now hold on. What was your name again? Hey!
Let's get into the gameplay. If you've played the PS1 Resi titles or even Dino Crisis 1, you should feel very comfortable playing this game. Although instead of the slower paced survival horror style, Dino Crisis 2 took the same general gameplay and opted for a very fast paced action-adventure arcade-esque style approach to the gameplay, which definitely set it apart from Capcom's survival horror titles at the time. Puzzles also take a backseat here, with practically no puzzles to be seen in the entire game, which may have some players disappointed, but I personally don't mind that, because I suck at puzzles anyway. Movement is snappy and responsive, with a quick turn returning from previous games, and due to the speed increase of enemies and the gameplay in general, it's really needed here. Also, the dodge mechanic from Resident Evil 3 is here too, only for some reason it's disabled by default, so I highly recommend turning this on in the setting if you plan on playing the game, as it can be a huge help when fighting certain dinosaur types. Combat being the main focus here, it's very satisfying, punchy and impactful. Each character will have access to their own unique main weapons and side weapons, with some weapons being shared between characters like the flamethrower and the chain mine. Dylan tends to have weapons that are slower with a higher damage output, aka a lot of shotgun type weapons, and Regina has more oppressive and automatic weapons, such as machine guns and dual SMGs. Gunplay is fast and satisfying, with also some advanced tech called quick shots which more skilled players can take advantage of. Enemies are extremely aggressive in this game, and you can get overwhelmed quickly if you're not prepared for it. With enemy variants being stronger as you progress through the game, it can be quite challenging at times. There's also a nice variety of dinosaur types to encounter through the game, all of which will require slightly different strategies to take down effectively. There is also not one, not two, but 3 light gun sections spread throughout the game, adding in even more variety to the gameplay and feeding into the arcade style even more, with Regina even commenting, "Hang around the arcades much if you perform well in one of these sections."
Good job, we're here. Sharp shooter, aren't you? Hang around the arcades much?
After completing the main game, you unlock an extra game mode called Dino Coliseum, where you will fight through waves of enemies to earn a grade based on your speed and combat performance. Using points you've earned from completing the game, you can buy extra characters to use, including Rick and Gale from Dino Crisis 1, the tank from the story mode, and even dinosaurs as playable characters. You can also unlock an additional game mode called Dino Duel, a 1v1 fighting game type mode where players can fight each other as various dinosaurs throughout the game, although I don't have any footage of this mode. There's a lot of gameplay variety and replayability to be had here, which is good considering the game is on the shorter side. New to this game, there is a combo meter, and a point system rewarding you for your performance in each area. Every enemy you kill will add to your combo, and the higher the combo, the more points you are rewarded. Also, taking no damage in an area will net you bonus points, rewarding skilled players with more points to spend in the game's shop system that can be accessed at any save point. Let's talk about the shop system. Instead of the typical thing of finding weapons, armor, ammo, and items in the world, apart from key items, some healing items, and lore notes, you will be spending the points you earn through combat in the shop, replenishing and upgrading ammo capacity, buying new weapons and items such as armor or melee weapon upgrades. Healing items are the only item from the shop you can also find in the world. Personally, I like this. It gives the entire point system a meaning and a reason to interact with it. You can even grind points to buy everything in the shop if you want, and more things are added progressively over the game. It really fits with the more action arcade style gameplay they were going for. Speaking of the world, you'll visit many different locales as you play through the game, including jungles, urban areas, military complexes, caves, and sea bases to name a few. And with the game taking a much more linear approach with very little backtracking, frequently changing up the scenery is a nice touch and keeps things fresh while playing through the game. Let me mention two things I wish were slightly different or I would change about the game. Firstly, the game length. Now, this is almost 100% a me problem, because I've played through the game so many times at this point, I know it like the back of my hand. My average playthrough is around an hour and a half to 2 hours, and I just wish the game was a bit longer, but like I said, this is most likely a me issue, and it's probably going to be at least 4 to 5 hours, maybe even 6 for people on a first playthrough. The other thing I would have liked to be different is how the playtime is divided up between each character. I'd say it's either 60 or 70% Dylan and the other 40 or 30% is Regina. Honestly, I'd prefer it if it was more 50-50, and the game honestly feels like they had two routes planned with the characters split off at the start of the game, similar to Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2, but it was removed for some reason. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's how it feels anyway. I can only imagine how much better this game would be if it did have the two routes for each character. It would have been like the perfect cherry on top. Oh, one more thing. There was a PS2 version of this game that was planned to be released later. It was announced and everything. Similar to Alone in the Dark: The New Nightmare, which was another PlayStation 1 survival horror action adventure game. That game also had a PS1 and a PS2 version. Identical, just better graphically. But for some reason, the PlayStation 2 version of Dino Crisis 2 was never released for some reason, despite being announced, which is disappointing to say the least, because I would like to see this game with better graphics. Even though through emulation you can upscale the graphics and make it look better, a native PS2 version would have been nice. I loved this game when I was a kid and played it religiously whenever I had the chance, and it's easily one of my favourite games of all time. And if the game seems interesting to you, I hope you want to pick it up and play it yourself if you hadn't before. And I hope this video really made you make that decision. Hey, if you made it this far, I want to say thank you for sitting through my first video. It means a lot to me. I want to use this channel to gush about some of my favourite games I had while growing up, and it also gives me a chance to go back and really play through them again after a long time. I'd also like to cover other games from the 8-bit, 16-bit and 32-bit generations I never played, so please leave a comment below if there's any of the games from your childhood or your favourites that you'd like me to play and make a video on. More videos will be coming very soon, and I'll try to iron any of the issues with this video, like audio or editing, etc., because this editing software is a pain in the ass to use, so I'm probably going to find a new one. Thank you for watching, and I'll leave a little audio hint at the end of this video as to what the next video is going to be. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
Reload!